Joe Walsh. All right. Yeah, one of my favorite guitar players. Let's jump in here and take a look at his career. Let's go. So, Joseph Fiddler Walsh was born Joseph Woodward Fiddler, November 20th, 1947. Best known as a member of the rock band Eagles. We knew that. His six-decade career includes solo work and stints in other bands, such as James Gang, Ringo Starr and his all-star band, and New Zealand's Herbs. Never heard of Herbs. Never heard that. He was part of the supergroup The Bests and had success as a solo artist and prolific session musician, appearing on other artists' recordings. In 2011, Rolling Stone ranked him number 54 on its list of 100 greatest guitarists of all time, which I thought he would be a little higher. In the mid-1960s, after attending Kent State University, Walsh played with several local Ohio bands before reaching national fame with the James Gang, whose hit, Funk 49, one of my favorites, showcased his skills. Roger Abramson signed the James Gang to BPI in Cleveland. After leaving the James Gang in 1972, Walsh formed Barnstorm with Joe Vitale and Kenny Passarelli. Though the band produced 3 albums, their work was marketed as Walsh's solo projects. The last Barnstorm album, So What, 1974, featured significant contributions from Eagles members. I didn't know that. At producer Bill Simchick's suggestion, Walsh joined Eagles in 1975 as guitarist and keyboardist, replacing founding member Bernie Leadon. His first album with them was Hotel California. In 1998, a guitarist magazine readers' poll named the solos by Walsh and Don Felder on Hotel California the best guitar solos ever. Guitar World ranked 8th in the top 100 guitar solos. As a member of Eagles, Walsh was inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame in 1998 and the Vocal Group Hall of Fame in 2001. Eagles is the first most influential bands of the 1970s and remain one of the best-selling American bands in history. That's true. Walsh's contributions to music have been praised by rock legends like Jimmy Page, Eric Clapton, and Pete Townshend. Walsh has released 12 solo albums, 6 compilation albums, and 2 live albums. His solo hits include Rocky Mountain Way, Life's Been Good, All Night Long, A Life of Illusion, and Ordinary Average Guy. Yes, and I like them all. His musical career, The Measles. This is the one that I don't believe I've heard this one here, The Measles, when he started out there. Anyway, from 1965 to 1967. Walsh and 3 other Kent State University students formed The Measles, a garage bar band, in 1965. 2 tracks on Ohio Express's Beg, Borrow, and Steal album, I Find I Think I Owe You, and It's True, were actually recorded by The Measles, led by Walsh, who also provided the vocals. Additionally, an instrumental version of And It's True was recorded by The Measles, retitled Maybe, and released as the B-side of the Beg, Borrow, and Steal single. Around Christmas of 1967, James Gang guitarist Glenn Schwartz, who turned out to be AWOL from the Army, wow, yeah, that's cool, and was breaking up with his wife, decided to leave the band to move to California, where he ended up forming the band Pacific Gas and Electric. Days later, Walsh, a friend of Schwartz's, knocked on Jim Foxx's door and asked to be given a tryout as Schwartz's replacement. Walsh was accepted, and the band continued as a 5-piece for a short time until Phil Gilambardo, I think that's correct, who was still in high school at the time, left. Bill Jarrett and Walsh worked together on guitar parts, but Jarrett left as well in the spring of 1968. He was replaced by a returning Ronnie Silverman, who had been discharged from the military. In May 1968, the group played a concert in Detroit at the Grand Ballroom, opening for Cream. At the last minute, Silverman told the others that he would not join them at the show. The band desperately needed money, took the stage as a trio. They liked their sound and threesome and decided to remain that way. Just a 3-piece. In 1968, the band signed with manager Mark Barger, who was handling the career of fellow Ohio outfit, the Lemon Pipers, who had just scored a big hit with Green Tambourine. I remember that one. Barger put the gang in touch with ABC Records staff producer Bill Simchick, who signed them to ABC's new Bluesway Records subsidiary in January of 1969. They released their debut album, Your Album, in 1969. In November 1969, bassist Tom Criss decided he was no longer into the music and left to be replaced by Dale Peters, who was brought in from a group called Case of E.T. Hooley. All right. In an interview, Jim Fox recounted a band meeting where Criss told Walsh and Fox, "I hate this band. I hate the music we're making. I don't think I can play it anymore." The addition of Peters created the most successful incarnation of the James Gang. Walsh proved to be the band's star attraction, noted for his innovative rhythm playing and creative guitar riffs. In particular, he was known for hot wiring the pickups on his electric guitars to create his trademark attack sound. The James Gang had several minor hits and became an early album-oriented rock staple for the next 2 years. It was during 1969 that Walsh sold his Les Paul guitar to Jimmy Page for about $1,200. Later in 1969, the group's record producer, Simchick, arranged for the band to appear in the electric western film Zachariah, with 2 James Gang songs, Laguna Salada and Country Fever, also being used. For the recording of these 2 songs, vocalist Kenny Wise was brought in to allow Walsh to focus on his guitar playing. He was gone by the time the group arrived in Mexico to shoot for their movie. Laguna Salada and Country Fever later reappeared as bonus tracks on the 2000 re-release of the James Gang Greatest Hits. Shortly before the release of their second album, James Gang Rides Again, they opened a show for The Who in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. The Who guitarist Pete Townshend met with James Gang before they left, impressed enough to invite them on The Who's subsequent European tour. When Walsh was asked about it, he said, "Pete's a very melodic player, and so am I. He told me that he appreciated my playing. I was flattered beyond belief. I didn't think I was that good." So Joe didn't think he was all that good, but he was. The James Gang's next 2 albums, James Gang Rides Again, 1970, and Thirds, 1971, produced such classics as Funk 49 and Walk Away. The album, James Gang Live at Carnegie Hall, was Walsh's last album with them, as he became dissatisfied with the band's limitations. The 2 remaining members, Peters and Fox, carried on with the lead vocals, Roy Kenner and guitarist Dominic Troiano, both ex-members of 2 Canadian bands, Bush and Mandala, who gained fame with Love Itis, a single from the band's only album, Soul Crusade, for 2 albums, Straight Shooter and Passing Through, both released in 1972. But in recent interviews, Fox stated that things did not work out musically with Troiano as hoped, so Troiano left the band in 1973, and later, in 1974, he joined the Guess Who. Guitarist Tommy Bolin was then brought into the band after being recommended by Walsh. 1971 to 1975, Barnstorm. In December 1971, after Walsh left the James Gang, Steve Marriott, frontman guitarist of Humble Pie, invited Walsh to move to England and join his band after Peter Frampton had departed, but Walsh declined. Instead, he moved to Colorado and formed a band called Barnstorm, with drummer and multi-instrumentalist Joe Vitale and bassist Kenny Passarelli, although both their albums credited Walsh as a solo artist. They started recording the debut album immediately after forming, but at the time there were only Walsh and Vitale on these sessions. Chuck Rainey did the first bass tracks on the album, but these were soon replaced by Passarelli. Walsh and Barnstorm released their debut album, Barnstorm, in October 1972. After taking a cue from Townshend, Walsh utilized the ARP Odyssey synthesizer to great effect on such songs as Mother Says and Here We Go. Walsh also experimented with acoustic guitar, slide guitar, effects pedals, fuzz box, talk box, and keyboards, as well as running his guitar straight into a Leslie speaker. 122 to get swirly, organ-like guitar tones. I had to actually study that for a second there. The album was a critical success, but had only moderate commercial success. The follow-up, The Smoker You Drink, The Player You Get, released in June 1973, was marketed under Walsh's name, although officially a Barnstorm album, and was their commercial breakthrough. It peaked at number 6 on the U.S. Billboard chart. The first and leading single, Rocky Mountain Way, received heavy airplay and reached number 23 on the U.S. Top 40. It featured a new member, keyboardist Rock Grace, and Walsh shared the vocals and songwriting with other 3 members of the band. As a result, a variety of the styles were explored on this album. There are elements of blues, jazz, folk, pop, and Caribbean music. In 1974, Barnstorm disbanded and Walsh continued as a solo artist. In late 1974, Walsh played slide guitar on Vital's debut solo album, Roller Coaster Weekend. Walsh was taught the slide technique by Duane Allman, co-founder of the Allman Brothers Band, with his brother Greg, who had done a standout turn on Eric Clapton's 1970 Layla and Other Assorted Love Songs double album as a drop-in contributor to Derek and the Dominoes. Barnstorm's last tour was in the spring of 1975. Shortly after, Walsh joined the Eagles in 75. 1975 to 1980, Eagles. In 1975, Walsh was invited to join the Eagles as founding member, Bernie Leadon's replacement. There was some initial concern as to Walsh's ability to fit in the band, as he was considered far too wild for the band's sound, especially by their drummer and co-lead vocalist Don Henley. Released on December 8, 1976, Hotel California was the band's 5th studio album and the first to feature Walsh. The album took a year and a half to complete, a process which, along with touring, drained the band. The second single from the album was the title track, Hotel California, which topped the charts in May 1977 and became one of the Eagles' signature songs next to Take It Easy and Desperado. It features Henley on lead vocals with a guitar duet performed by Felder and Walsh. The hard rock Life in the Fast Lane, released on May 7, 1977, was based on a riff by Walsh. It reached number 11 on the charts and helped establish Walsh's position in the band. Hotel California was the last album to feature founding member Randy Meisner, who abruptly left the band after the 1977 tour. He was replaced by Timothy B. Schmidt, who had also succeeded him in Poco. In 1977, the band, minus Don Felder, performed instrumental work and backing vocals for Randy Newman's album, Little Criminals, including Short People. I remember that one, Short People, which has backing vocals by Fry and Schmidt. The Eagles went into recording studio in 1977 to begin work on their next album, The Long Run, which was not completed and released until September 24, 1979. Considered a disappointment by some music critics for failing to live up to Hotel California, it nonetheless proved a huge commercial hit, topping the charts and selling 7 million copies. 3 singles from it, Heartache Tonight, the title track, and I Can't Tell You Why, reached the top 10, and In the City by Walsh also received considerable airplay. The band recorded 2 Christmas songs during these sessions, Funky New Year and Please Come Home for Christmas, which was released as a single in 1978 and reached number 18 on the charts. The band broke up in 1980. So there's Joe's musical career. That's not all. There is so much more, which maybe I'll get into later on. Just leave me some comments in there and let me know if you'd like to hear it. I would be happy to do it. And don't forget, you can like, subscribe, and share this. I do appreciate it. And we'll get into some more action. Hey, suggestions, requests, hey, let me know. You got any musicians you'd like to for me to do? Let me know. I'd appreciate that as well. So with that all being said, you guys, thanks for stopping by. I do appreciate you. And I'll see you in the next video. Have a great day. I'll see you.